One of the three types of colour blends available within GeoTeric is the HSV, or Hue Saturation Value Colour Blend. In this video I'll be taking you through the creation of a specific type of HSV blend, the Interpretation HSV. The Interpretation HSV uses three volumes as input: the instantaneous phase, the envelope, and an inverted fault detect volume. To get the instantaneous phase in the envelope, we simply go to Workflows, Processes and Workflows. From here, we select the Attributes option twice, so that we get two tabs. In each tab we choose our input, and in the first we select Envelope and give the volume a name. In the second we select Instantaneous Phase and give the volume a name. And once that's complete, we then hit Run Workflow and those volumes will be produced in our project tree. To create the inverted fault detect, we first need to create the fault detect itself. This is done through the use of the fault expression tool. This is a multi-step process, and further help can be gained by looking in the GeoTeric help files or contacting GeoTeric support on support@geoteric.com. Once you have produced the fault detect, it will look like this. To invert that volume, we then go into Workflows, Processes and Workflows, and we select the voxel math option. We select our fault detect volume as input 1, we select the IM1 operation time, and we enter a multiply constant of -1. Once we give the volume a name and hit Run Workflow, the inverted fault detect will be produced in our project. To create the colour blend itself, we right-click on the colour blend subdirectory in our project tree and select New Colour Blend. We then select in the three inputs, first phase, then envelope, and the inverted fault detect. We then press Set Blend, and in this case we'll choose to look at a cross line, since this blend is typically used for interpretation within GeoTeric. Once we hit OK, the preview will default to an RGB blend. We simply switch to HSV, and we can see the first preview of our colour blend. Now in this case you can see that the display is quite faint. We can change this by increasing the scale on input 2, which is the envelope, and then hitting refresh. Immediately you can see that the colours are far more appropriate. Now in the Interpretation HSV, understanding the response is a little more complex than the RGB and CMY cases. In this case, the instantaneous phase is controlling the hue, or the colour, that is presented in the volume. So as we move through this spectrum of colours, this is indicating changes in the phase of our data. This means that when interpreting, we can look at subtle changes in phase and we can avoid cycle skipping. The brightness of these colours, their vibrancy, is controlled by the envelope. So as with many other seismic volumes or attribute volumes, a bright colour means a high amplitude. The fault detect controls the value, or blackness, in this blend. So this means that fault lineations will be drawn in as a black line over your volume, meaning that when picking, fault information can be honoured both in manual interpretation and in auto tracking. Once we're happy with the blend we have available, we simply give it a name and hit save to save that out to our project. We're then presented with an Interpretation HSV that can be used for high quality interpretation within GeoTeric.